In cold. Hello. Hey there, my friendly Friday friends. So how do you know when you're living in a delusion? I mean, other than Joe Biden thinking he's president. I mean, when people suddenly believe something is happening when it really isn't. And then they come after you if you refuse to play along. The left in this country right now is like that mentally ill homeless guy screaming at someone on the sidewalk, but there's actually nobody there. But if you tell him nobody is there, he'll attack you for pointing out the reality of the situation. But with our media, such delusions are rewarded with attention and therefore incentivized. The latest delusion, that Florida's parental rights bill is an attack on gay and trans people, and that somehow merely stating the distinction between male and female is an affront to them. But sorry, Disney. According to my data, 99.9% of gay and trans aren't offended by the terms boys and girls. Where did I get that statistic? Where I get all my biology stats. The steam room at the 92nd Street Y. But sadly, all you need are a few unhinged voices and control of the blowhorn. And by blowhorn, I mean the mainstream and social media. Social media is now the vehicle for delusional contagions, where attention-starved activists deem words like boys and girls harmful. Sorry, these people are full of more than a cage full of chimps with lactose intolerance. And I know that. But like the bubonic plague, it's a rodent spreading the problem. Take it away, home of Mickey Mouse.
Last summer, we removed all of the gendered greetings in relationship to our live spiels. So we no longer say ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. We provided training for all of our cast members in relationship to that. So now they know it's hello everyone or hello friends. We are in the process of changing over those recorded messages, and so many of you are probably familiar when we brought the fireworks back to the Magic Kingdom. We no longer say ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we say dreamers of all ages.
Dreamers. How can you dream when you're woke? Disney once knew the importance of understanding your audience. Now they don't even like their audience. It all sounds like Disney is welcoming everyone with a no girls allowed sign. Did their customers ask for it? No, it's just a corporation terrified of being unwoke. And most families aren't up to speed with this crap. And why? Because they're too busy working 2 jobs so they can put food on the table for their kids and maybe 1 week a year take them to your stupid theme park and drop a couple grand. Watching a pantless duck speak gibberish. Watch out, Waste Management. Disney's been making family entertainment for 99 years, but now they're switching to garbage. It's happening in government, too. While we face possible war, soaring inflation, and rampant crime, what's the White House concerned about? They announced that U.S. airport security procedures will become gender neutral. Yeah, they're going to use an X for travelers going through pre-check who don't identify as male or female. But isn't X the female chromosome? Wait till someone complains about that. I just might. TSA officers will also receive new instructions to make procedures less invasive, which is sad. Being married, I started to enjoy those pat-downs. But of course, Biden also condemned dangerous anti-transgender legislative attacks without citing actual evidence. Why?
We know it's hard when there are those out there who don't see you and don't respect you. For example, the onslaught of anti-transgender state laws attacking you and your families is simply wrong. This administration is standing up for you against all these hateful bills. And we're committed to advancing transgender equality in the classroom, on the playing field, at work, in our military, in our housing and healthcare systems, everywhere, simply everywhere.
Yeah. Well, this raises the question, why do Democrats only condemn crimes that aren't happening instead of crimes that are? What about the attacks on elderly Asians or the random murders by homeless maniacs in liberal-run cities? Why doesn't Joe care about that? Could it be that the people feeding him this stuff don't care either? It's the Will Smith slap of politics. While we're talking about this, we aren't talking about the president needing crib notes to explain why he's trying to trigger World War III. So instead, let's focus our energy on a bill that forbids people from talking to 5-year-olds about sex, when we should be asking why they're fighting to teach indoctrination when they can't even teach math. Honestly, any adult that wants to indulge a 5-year-old about sexual issues that they can't comprehend is the only good argument for remote learning. Delusions become dangerous when your president buys into it, and Biden has. Just happy to finally be president. He's okay also being a vehicle for idiocy. And finally, there's this story. A medical student at the Wake Forest School of Medicine purposely missed a patient's vein because he giggled at the student's she/her pronoun pin. Cachel del Rosario bragged about it, posting, "I had a patient, I was doing a blood draw, see my pronoun pin and loudly laugh to the staff, she, her. Well, of course it is. What other pronouns even are there? It." So I missed his vein, so he had to get stuck twice. Well, she, her, sounds like a real So there you go. Corporations, government, people, all acting irrationally based on a belief that there's an epidemic of hostility towards gay and trans. It's not true. But sadly, what is true? Parents may have the science, but activists have the media. Let's welcome tonight's guest. When she was behind the podium, the media needed Imodium.
Yes.
Co-host of Outnumbered and former White House Press Secretary Kayleigh McEnany. He's so British, his blood type is Earl Grey. He's so British, he sneezes crumpets. He's so British, he sleeps on a double-decker bus. He's so British, he showers in a red phone booth. Host of the new show, Piers Morgan, Uncensored, premiering April 25th on Fox Nation. Piers Morgan.
Thank you.
Yes. And she never uses drugs and is delightful to work with. April Fools. Fox News contributor, Kat Tim. Never. And he'll give you the shirt off his back if you need a parachute. My massive sidekick in the NWA's World Television Champion, Tyrus. Piers, it's like I've seen you almost every day.
That's because you have.
I know. You've been in my dreams, in my studio.
Yeah.
I don't know where it's leading.
I've been basking in the Gutfeld glory.
Ah, yes.
The hottest show person on cable news TV history.
You could just
reading.
You could just say the hottest person, period. I am beautiful. You know, no doubt there are people that are anti-trans, transphobic, anti-gay, but does this come across to you as a manufactured outrage?
Oh, completely. It's a virus. This new virus is where this very small number of angry, permanently offended, woke brigade, cancel culture propagandists try and turn everything into something ending in ick or ist. So if you take any kind of constructive, critical approach to something which is patently ridiculous, immediately you're branded. You're transphobic, you're homophobic, you're racist, whatever it may be. I got bounced out of the morning show that I did in the UK because Meghan Markle spewed a bunch of lies to Oprah Winfrey about our royal family. I said, I don't believe you, and was immediately accused of being racist. I didn't believe somebody who was biracial. So this is the way the world has gone. When you look at this Disney furore, in a way, it perfectly encapsulates how mad it all got. So you've got Disney, who we know stream all their content to countries where they behead people for being gay. We know that they are silent about the Chinese oppression of the Uyghur Muslims. But we're apparently supposed to believe that they've taken a position, a moral, strong position, about this issue down in Florida where, my God, it's so despicable. The governor has decided that kids of 5, 6, 7, and 8 should not be exposed to constant propaganda about their sexuality or genders at a time when there are now 100 genders, including apparently astrogender, which is an affinity to the stars and the planets. So why would any parent object to a teacher teaching them that they can be astrogender? It's all... And the idea that you can raise a quizzical eye or a concerned brow and say it to without being bounced around being called a transphobe, I think probably most people in this country are tolerant and compassionate people.
It seems like women are the butt of all of these things. It's not really guys. It's just the women, right, Kayleigh?
Yeah, okay, the woke world is going after women. I mean, just think about that. That is happening. Like, you went through the government, they're calling people pregnant persons.
Yes.
Taking a cue from AOC, apparently I was a menstruating person, not a pregnant woman when I gave birth to my 2-year-old, well, now 2-year-old. But it's confounding. They have the pregnant male emoji. I mean, it's thing after thing after thing. It's erasing women from society. And look, if you are an opponent of this bill, basically what you are saying is kindergarten, first grade, second grade, third grade, your teacher, who's brainwashed by the left, probably, a lot of them are, gets to teach you about sexuality. No, thank you. And this man, this president, can't keep Ron DeSantis' name out of his mouth, keeps referring to my former boss as my predecessor and, veiled threats at him. This guy needs a foil, and that's what this is about. He needs a foil. His administration is collapsing, so let's go after kindergartners.
Yeah, what's your take on this, Tyrus?
Well, I agree with them both, except for they're missing one thing. That small group, they're not that live in the exterior. That's why they make up crimes that haven't happened, because you can't fact check them.
Right.
They're not going to take the risk to go down and deal with people who are actually being assaulted. But it's about fundraising and making money. It has nothing to do with the transgender community at all. It's just like Black Lives Matter did the same exact thing. They made it sound like they were there they were going to help black schools and poor neighborhoods, but they didn't. They loaded up their own pocketbooks. They bought jets and planes and houses, and these same groups are doing the same thing, because then they will go to the group that they love to hate the most openly, is old white woke men and women, and they'll go tell them their story, and they'll feel terrible and blame themselves and write huge amounts of checks. So it's a money-making scheme, and so they're never ever going to actually pick a real situation that people can look and go, well, actually, there is more hate crimes against older Asian women right now, and women in general, than there is these transgender things that you're talking about. So they're not going to touch that, because you can argue that. And so they're just doing it till they get the big money and they get the marches, and then you'll see that they're not helping the poor transgendered in the inner city who's afraid to come out because of the neighborhood they live in. They're not concerned with that. But everyone who's doing it is in a power play position, and that's what this is really about.
Kat, what if the veterinarian student purposely missed the vein of Cheens? Yes, I knew that would get you.
Whoa.
Oh, I brought Cheens the cat into the story. What if because she didn't like your politics, and so you bring Cheens in, and she purposely misses Cheens' vein?
Hurting me is one thing, but hurting Cheens is another.
Yes.
I wouldn't be here. I would be like launching a full-scale attack against this person.
Scorched earth.
Yes, because, okay, someone made fun of you, so you're gonna stab them?
Yes.
Because if you're missing a vein on purpose, that's not missing a vein, that's stabbing.
Yes, it is
like,
stabbing.
the reason you're doing that is to get the blood or whatever, so you're just stabbing them for no reason. And things are so crazy that she actually was like, you know what? That's something I can tweet, and people will like that. Like, I stabbed this person who made fun of me, and this wasn't even a trans woman.
Yeah, no.
This was just
But you
a
can bet she has.
woman.
I bet she has hashtag be kind in her bio.
Probably.
Certainly.
Or that,
How is this not a hate crime?
Right.
If I
hate
stab
crime.
somebody with a her and his or whatever the thing is on their thing, and I said ha because of that, and I stabbed them, that's a hate crime, right?
Yeah.
It's a two-way street.
Purposely missed a vein is a lot more words than you need.
yeah.
Stabbed.
She probably has one of those signs on the front of her house that has like the entire list of all the things. You've
Yes.
seen them everywhere. But apparently, I think she's now been punished. She's not allowed to see patients.
No.
Mine
she should
just
be
says, in
fired,
this
not
house, we
punished.
love and respect Cheens.
Yeah. All right.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.